between JDG and TES. As we saw from game 1, TES were kind of torn apart, and let's see how well they've managed to recover from the events that unfolded in the last game, as TES are the ones now to lock in the Renekton first pick. JDG just picking away the Renekton and Nidalee combo from TES's hands, and of course Kanavi is an expert at Nidalee. We saw last game landing spear after spear, albeit on very immobile and CC targets, as yet again, despite what happened in the bot lane last game, looks like, oh wait, no, wrong side, never mind, JDG now are the ones to go for the Varus pick. Let's see how TES can look to punish this. In terms of AP junglers that are left, there is the Lilia and the Talia. Though we haven't seen very much of Talia in a while, it looks like Elise is the combo opted for here by TES, as now it's like a trade of sides. TES are the ones to say that, alright, we're going to play heavily towards the top side. At this point, TES don't even need the swap role function, as I'm pretty sure this is a mid lane Lucian as well. On the side of JDG, looks like they're going to play right into the hands of TES and just give Zoom that Ornn pick. And let's see if they are able to play heavily enough towards the bottom side. Bunch of bans gonna come out here, probably going to be support bans from TES. Just take away perhaps the Leona and Nautilus wouldn't be too bad, but you also might want one of those champions yourself, because of course your engage is slightly lacking as well. Senna is the ban coming in here from JDG, wanting to take away any safe lanes from TES. They could of course look to ban out the Tahm Kench next, as Zoe is what TES look to ban out as well, not wanting to give JDG any outs, and one of their possible outs of course could be the amount of mid priority that Zoe just gives to any team that has her. JDG, let's see what they look to continue on with here. It is the Ezreal ban, not wanting to give them any mobile AD carries. It's gonna be all about focusing as hard as possible for JDG towards TES's bot side, which we saw in last game, even though it wasn't I think their intention going into the game, is kind of what transpired and have occurred, which led to JDG leading a pretty decisive win over TES. As the last ban is coming out now from the side of TES, it is the Victor. Not wanting to give too much scaling as well over to the side of JDG, as opposed as Thresh, the natural playmaker, and basically the all-in-one most well-rounded support you can get. The guy is jack of all trades, master of none, unless he is in the hands of a extremely competent player, in which case he's the master of everything. TES, interesting to see what they play on the bot side. They could perhaps look to play the Jhin as well. Kalista. Looks like TES are just deciding we're not going to have a weak side lane. We're going to ramp up the pressure across the board. It's not going to be strong one side, weak one side. It's going to be strong on every side. Apply the pressure. Here's the engage. Let's just go. As yet again, opting for Nautilus instead of the Leona. I suppose in this case it's fine because Thresh does counter out Leona, as the Jace is being hovered in the mid lane here for Yagao. I don't mind this pick so much. A lot of poke coming in from JDG as well. Got a good bit of engage and disengage. Meanwhile, TES emphasis is heavy on closing this game out early. TES have had enough of allowing JDG to dictate the pace of the game, especially going into the early to mid game, and they've decided it's our turn to pick up the pace, to sprint it down, to be the ones who determine who goes where and what unfolds, as we are loading now into game 1. TES, I think, with priority in the mid lane, unless To the Skies is used by Yagao. Definitely strong priority towards the bot side as well as top. I think TES are in full control of this game. It's just now a question of how well Karsa is going to be able to use the pressure that his lanes provide him, and how they can how he can transition that into a lead, and hopefully bring his team to a finish line and bring us, the viewers, into a exciting game 3. As we are loading in right now, I can barely contain the shaking, the tremble in my voice, as the players seem so calm. Nice watch coming in there from Karsa. Not a huge watch person just yet, kind of just picking it up now. But I do think watches are pretty amazing. Might want to look into getting that Fnatic X Gucci watch if it wasn't so damn expensive. Whew. Alright, just a quick breath, ladies and gentlemen. A quick moment of calm silence. The early game doesn't look to be the first, at least minute and a half. First minute and a half until minion spawn doesn't look to be too exciting as Kanavi going for the Dark Harvest in this match, realizing that there's no point going for Conqueror. There's no one to stack Conqueror on. I'm just gonna look to one shot Jackie Love, one shot Knight, one shot Karsa. Actually, interesting. Karsa opting to go for the PTA instead of. I'm not quite sure if this is the wrong runes. Will we have a bit of a remake going into the game here? As I don't believe I haven't seen Elise in a really long time, but from what I remember, PTA is not exactly standard. I'm not sure if it stacks on her Q. Perhaps it stacks on the melee form attack speed you get from pressing W as Karsa. But I don't know if you want to be in melee form of any of these champions because they might just one-shot you. Surprised that he didn't go for the electrocute. I feel that your team, I guess your team has enough damage, but at this point there is no hope for scaling. There shouldn't, we shouldn't even look to entertain the idea of scaling if you are TES. It's all about putting up the pressure early and just maintaining that pressure, snowballing it to a very decisive finish as both junglers starting up towards the top side. Yet again, Karsa this time is going to be the aggressor. Meanwhile, Kanavi on the other hand is going to be the one who's trying to make as much of a play as possible towards the mid and bot lane, just leaving Zoom to his own devices, much like he did in game 1. Zoom now trudging back to lane. Let's see how well he plays. I'm surprised he decided to go for the Grasp of the Undying as opposed to perhaps the unsealed spellbook, but then again he is going to have the opportunity. In fact, he's probably going to be forced to fist fight Qing Tian a little bit up in the top side as Knight already taking full control of his lane. Meanwhile on the bot side, the fight for level 2 has already come underway. A little bit of chunking coming out here. Not sure if that's from the piercing arrows or just simply auto attacks coming in from Loken, but Jackie Love is already chunked to just about half HP as level 2 is just as quickly going to be reached by JDG by the looks of it, hitting level 2 first. Of course, not having to leash for their jungler. Actually, neither team had to leash for the jungler, so not quite sure what's going on here. But I suppose with the range advantage of having a Thresh, they're able to just push TES out of this lane initially. And now level 2 is hit by both players. That means the capacity is available, as it looks like Kanavi setting up for a level 3 cheese gang. Yago jumping in with 2 disguise, but Knight just dashing away from it. Not even getting hit up by the slow, as Love Mao is forced back, engaged upon 2 by Zor and Jackie Love. Able to flash out of there as heal was blown by Loken as well. 3 summoners down on the side of JDG's bot side as Karsa finding himself behind Kanavi in a little back and forth as both the junglers not really aware that they were so close to each other. I think Karsa is about to be spotted out by that ward. Needs to be careful as, oh, he's not. He's actually playing the vision game perfectly, unlike he did in game 1 as Love was spotted out by the sweeper. Zuo getting auto attack down. Jackie Love is not in position. It's a 3v2 as Kanavi lands a spear from over the wall. Karsa landing first blood as Zuo is not jumped on. Karsa is actually the point of focus here as he uses his smite onto the Scuttle Crab to get some health back. And Knight and Yagao just trading back and forth in the mid lane, not wanting to allow each other to get to the top place. Yagao does have flash, will have hammer form in just a moment's time. Knight does not have his dash available. Karsa is in the area, however, so Yagao needs to be careful. Decides finally with full discipline to just okay. Karsa just trying to get across mid lane as fast as possible to secure himself that Scuttle Crab. So far, slight advantage going in favor indubitably of Karsa as Kanavi unfortunately not able to access any of the delicious crustaceans. Teleport coming in there from Knight. And just like that, a bit of early game action already, exactly what we expected. JDG though, not one to be pushed around, are actually making proactive plays as well. Love Mao walking around with Kanavi, ensuring that his jungle is safe, ensuring a modicum of safety for his jungler as he just steals away a camp from TES. Karsa is not going to have a Raptors camp for a while, especially if he does not clear that out. Kanavi finds himself behind the tri-bush looking for a very greedy attempt onto Krugs as Karsa is in the area, as is what Anchor Toss is available, forced to flash over the wall. Not so much loss, I suppose, except for a 5-minute cooldown summoner spell, which could be pretty catastrophic TES are in a good position to play through bottom lane because a lot of summoners are still down. The only summoner spell available for JDG's bot side, of course, is the Flash on Loken. So Love Mao could be a very easy target here as well, with a slight bit of an item advantage as Loken steps up pretty aggressively. The hook goes wide. Anchor toss, unfortunately, not hitting out onto anything, as Karsa finding himself behind the tier 3 tower. The wave has been built in time. JDG probably calling for help, but the only thing is available is Zoom's teleport, as is Chinkan's teleport. I think JDG are going to have to forsake this pretty massive wave. About 9 minions are going to crash, and just like that, they're going to lose everything. But JDG are now moving into position. Yagao is in the river, is being warded away by Karsa, who's going to jump onto him, but Kanavi is just over the wall, lands a spear, doesn't manage to actually, as the repel comes in, saving Karsa from a lot of damage, but the shock blast is enough to just chunk him out. Yagao is forced out of lane as well. Unfortunately for him, he does not have teleport available, as Kanavi just looks to be leaving the fight. Pings are going down onto Karsa's own jungle. Looks like he's not comfortable enough to step into the top side of jungle. Doesn't want to get caught out by Kanavi for whatever reason. As in the top side, Qingtian just applying his continuous pressure. Zoom doing a fantastic job in terms of keeping up with CS, able to just pick up all of it under tower, opting for that Warden's Mail. Really doesn't want any damage to befall him, and should Knight or Jackie rotate up, this is indeed going to be the case. By that being said, Knight is in the area, is about to be spotted out by Kanavi, who's channeling his recall off in the distance. Knight is here. Karsa is rounding the corner as well. No teleport available for Yaga, as Zoom finds himself in a 2v3 situation. Knocks up Zoom as he pops the Dominus. Qingtian taking tons of tower damage, actually tanking out one more hit, able to take down... Okay, we're gonna have to redo this one. With the Warden's Mail, he is going to be a little bit tanky, as he's going to need it as Knight comes in from the mid lane. Kanavi spotting him out while recalling. Zoom trying his best to clear out the wave as much as he can, but Karsa is about to round the corner as well. Qingtian is in position to initiate out the dive. Pops Dominus instantly, but gets knocked out. Beautiful knockout coming in from Zoom as Kanavi jumps in to try and get him. Qingtian tanking out the tower, but is just getting so much health back from the coup de grace. From the... wait. Okay, wait, what is that from? What's the thing called from? I don't remember. Zoom doing a fantastic job keeping up in terms of CS here. Unfortunately, he's about to be Doven, having just finished out his Warden's Mail, and Ruby Crystal is going to need as much resistance as he can get as Knight jumps in over the wall. Kanavi spots him out. Knight is level 6, Kanavi is not. Zoom does have his ultimate available, but is incredibly low on mana, unfortunately, as he's forced to step back. Doesn't trigger his ultimate just yet, as the Dominus and the stun comes in. Zoom knocking him out, perfectly buffering out the stun. Unfortunately, Kanavi jumps in, but is not able to scare very much as the culling rings through. Kanavi jumping straight into Qingtian, and is going to be one-shotted as Qingtian tanking up more tower shots for his team, playing exceptionally well. But in the bot side, Zoa is being engaged on by both Love Mao and Loken, as in comes the accelerated shock blast from Yagao. They're stuck at the tower. Minions are tanking up tower right now. Zoom is just auto attack to their Jackie Love to the skies, is brought the hammer down upon, and Love Mao able to tank out the tower. Nice cross map plays coming in here from JDG. Not a moment of respite for TES, as JDG are just doing it up. A team that used to be all about scaling and making plays you just would not expect are actually applying the pressure now so far in both games 1 and 2, not allowing their jungler and top laner on the opposite side of the map deaths to be in vain. And just like that, another little bit of a lead is etched out, for TES actually, instead of JDG. So far though, it's still a very close game. 500 gold. Zoom, of course, is comfortable with the scaling that he is allowed to have. Qingtian opting for the very late 7.5 minute call right now is, I suppose, not able to hit up Zoom too much, as Zoom actually trading very nicely with spacing. Zoa is about to face check into Kanavi, but he is the one actually who is the hunter, as he misses his anchor toss at that narrow alley. Kanavi, beautiful 90-degree sidestep coming in. Love Mao is in the area as well. Could this be a little tussle for Dragon? I'm surprised that TES are even bothered with this, because Dragons are not really their win condition right now. I think this is very much where you play towards the top side and grab you that Rift Herald. However, I suppose objective securing, especially towards the side that has the Kalista, is always advisable for a team, and it looks to be the way that they play this part out. Jackie Love just securing himself some mid priority. It looks like, will they start up Dragon? There's 4 members of JDG in the area. Qingtian does have teleport, and this could be TES's signal to try and make a play right now, as of course You should use your teleport advantage across the map, not allow Zoom. I mean, if he starts scaling, it's not really no stopping him at this point in time. So you just need to try and snowball the other lanes and just get a bit of advantage where possible. Jackie jumping straight into the tower. Not so much tower damage being taken from anywhere by JDG, which is a worrying sign if you ask me for TES. As Ching Tian is just over the wall making a roam instead of teleport. This is even better. Popping the plant onto Rift Herald, spotting out the vision. Will he take it out? I'm pretty sure he will. Kanavi's going to rotate up as well. TES are not stepping up the tempo of the game enough in my opinion. But then again, I suppose they do need a moment of respite to pick up some CS. They need to make sure that they are able to match in terms of the gold and not fall too far behind just from the basics of the game. As here we go, Rift Herald is being started up here by Knight. Looks like Karsa will be left to solo this. Kanavi is in the area, has used his smite over the walls for the Krug, so it's a very clear indicator that he is not going to attempt a contest for this. As Zoom now is still building ever so slowly to being the unkillable monster. Not at all any percent HP damage on the side of TES, especially for the late game. So if it gets to a point where JDG Zoom has 3 items, the game is 100% over for TES unless they can one-shot the entirety of JDG's backline, which unfortunately for them are all very good at keeping their distance and throwing out spells from across perhaps a screen away. As Zuo just maintaining whatever safety he can for his mid laner as well as his AD carry. Whew. Looks like JDG now looking to get as much vision around the mid side as possible. Is a 3v3 situation as mid laner supports and junglers are present. Yagao playing very aggressively to the wrong side as a flash coming over the wall. Karsa trying to land the cocoon, but Yagao very quick on his reflexes and with his fingers as Kanavi's nearly hooked out by the dredge line. Zuo going towards the wall, missing out on the death sentence is Love Mao. And in the end, the only skill shot that really hits that time is the spear coming in from Kanavi. Looks like Dragon is about to be started up here by TES. Of course, it is expected for them to have full control of the objectives. In fact, they have the entire map in the early game, especially with Jackie Love in the area. It's not even a point in attempting a contest here for JDG. It is 100% going to be secure, but will they be able to catch something out here? As Zuo and Jackie Love is exactly who they want. Looks like in comes the Chain of Corruption, Flash, Death Sentence over the wall into the box and Flay. Kanavi flies in from over the wall as well as last auto attack coming in from Loken. Zuo trying to flash towards his team. Unfortunately, Yagao is the one that he meets first as the teleport is coming in from Knight, but it's extremely late. Nice little trade play coming in there from JDG. Chains of Corruption actually hitting out and the follow-up flash, Death Sentence from Love Mao. Beautiful plays coming in, Kanavi coming in as well, and just like that, a nice little trade coming. Gold is now in favor of JDG as Yagao is just being gunned down in the mid lane. The culling is as it says, and unfortunately Yagao was not the strong. Karsa from across the map trying to make his place as the Oran Horn comes out, knocking out both Karsa and Ching Tian. Unfortunately, Zoom not able to use his Bellows Breath to sustain up the stun, to buffer up the stun coming in from Ching Tian, but he has managed to clear the wave, delaying this push ever so slightly. Knight with a short rotation is going to just channel his recall, is actually the only beacon of shining light on the side of TES, with the CS as well as kill lead over his laner. Love Mao's ward is actually perfectly out of vision from that pink ward, as Zuo has made his way up. Both supports still not level 6, which I think is honestly, wait, no, Love Mao is. He used the box in the last fight. Let's see what happens here as Yaga unloading his entire entourage of spells onto the minion wave. Unfortunately, that is the clearest indicator for Knight that this is the perfect time to ult in him, finishing off with a nice culling over the edge. And it looks like Karsa is trying to be as much of a nuisance as possible as Love Mao is just caught by Jackie Love and Zuo. This is what I'm talking about. A bit of pressure as Zuo has his level 6. Does have the depth charge. Does not have the depth charge, unfortunately, as Yaga is just thrown in under the tower. Just jumped on viciously. Kanavi trading back, jumping in onto Karsa in a 1v2 situation, but Ching Tian can do nothing as his jungler is absolutely exploded. Zoom coming in from across, trying to get away. It's like, damn. As Karsa just fighting just trying to get even as much as possible from Kanavi. Smite comes in. Lovemao actually caught out by TES's bot side. Depth charge was used in that fight. Kanavi is just around the corner. Zuo, will he be able to hit his anchor toss? No. He hits it into the wall as Yaga is being jumped onto. Karsa not able to finish off the fight as Kanavi jumps in to finish him off right next to Qingtian. Qingtian can do nothing as his jungler just exploded. Zoom coming in is being tickled on the back by Knight, but with the Warden Spell, he's just so tanky, he's able to knock up Qingtian into the air. So double kill coming in from Kanavi. Accelerator Shock Blast tagging out Knight towards the tail end of the fight, but they don't have any more engage at that range, and a 1-for-2 coming out yet again in favor of JDG. Try as TES may, JDG just have the responses they need. They're in position, they're playing it well. In the bottom right hand side, we get to see how exactly Lovemao was cut out. Every single spell was used. Tried to death sentence over the wall towards the wolves. Unfortunately, the rend was there and enough to take him out. But rest assured, his team most definitely avenged him as Zoom now making some plays around the map. Gonna grab himself some nice tower plating as well. Nearly stunned up under tower. Does have the Bell's Breath as Qingtian gives chase, landing the Ruthless Predator, able to stun out Zoom. But it looks like he's really not doing too much damage as Zoom with the Warden's Mail, having not even completed his Berserker's Greaves. Sorry, his steel plated Greaves, is very comfortably just walking away from this big crocodile. And really, what can he do? That Carl's still at 20 stacks. I hope it's worth it. I'm not quite sure if that 450 gold going towards another damage item would have made a difference, as Jackie Love is going to throw Zuo into Kanavi. It looks like Kanavi is no getting away from this. Apparently I'm mistaken, as he flashes over the wall. Loken getting stunned up by the cocoon and nearly killed off by the Kali. In comes Knight with the Gale Force, is unfortunately going to get taken out by the tower, by the backline. Yaga just having full access to the bottom lane of TES and just annihilate them off the face of the earth. 4-for-2 situation yet again. JDG giving as good as they get. Just every time they lose people, TES is forced to lose 2 times that number. And it looks like they'll also be losing this bot lane tower, as Qingtian across the map trying his best to get whatever he can for his team. But Zoom is here. Unfortunately, Zoom will not be able to defend this tower. Will they just start fighting here? Does Zoom... He does have his mythic item. It is the Frostfire Gauntlet, as unfortunately JDG not able to secure up this bottom side tower just yet. Zuo is making his way up towards the top side. This is for second Rift Herald. But at this point, I think JDG might be quite comfortable trying to start a fight in just to, try and not give too much to TES in this early game. As we see here, Kanavi, I'm not quite sure how he survives this, as he gets CC'd up. Nice little buffering of CC coming in from Zod. The only thing not used really was the depth charge, and he just flashes away. Knight making some big plays at the back over here. But let's see what happens as a Shock Blast actually just nicking Jackie Love towards the end of it. And it looks like the tower is the thing that killed out Zor towards the bot side, leaving Karsa in a 1v2 situation in which he had no hope of winning. And just like that, JDG ahead yet again. Looks like TES, in spite of what has unfolded and transpired in the past few minutes, is going to be able to secure themselves this Rift Herald. But JDG don't seem to be wanting to allow Dragon to go over towards them, as they have invaded towards the bot side. Knight has been swatted out. Lovemao does have flash in a few moments time, but Knight with the mobility from his dash as well as Gale Force will not be caught out by something like that. And Dragon is traded in favor of Rift Herald for JDG. Inside track towards mid lane, however, is in the hands of TES. They need to be careful, however, as in comes the Ornn Horde. This looks to be a one-man knockup. Zuo is the target right now, popping his stopwatch, but unfortunately it's not going to save him as he flashes in a straight line right into the arrow of Loken. And without losing any HP aside from that little bit of damage from the spider there, JDG picking up another kill after trading objectives across the map. All the waves are pushed away from JDG's base right now, which means TES really have no opportunity to use their Rift Herald immediately. It looks like they're making some pings towards the top side, but already nearly out onto the map are the bot laners of JDG, and they are not altering their course actually. Zoom is going up there. Unfortunately, I don't think it's very much he can do against the push capacity of Knight and Karsa with his items going. However, needs to be careful. Jackie Love is about to be tagged up by a nuclear-tipped spear, but Kanavi, unfortunately, a cheeky attempt, but he's not going to get anything for it. Able just take away the Raptors, I suppose, as Knight and Karsa death bush camping yet again. Zor might be the one getting caught out, however, as Lovemao is around him, pops a ward right over the wall, but Lovemao knows better than to attempt anything with Knight and Karsa so close by. Okay, so TES definitely behind at this point. Nice little trades coming in back and forth, but JDG have been getting the better of the trades by far. Zoom is nearly towards completing his level 13 item upgrade. Now I think he might have just finished up another item. And with every item, the stopwatch timer that TES have to work with really is this Ornn. And as Ornn gets closer and closer to 3 and 4 items and just and upgrading items for his team, that is every step he gets towards that point is a step further away for TS. This is very much a tug of war situation. And right now, JDG, as much ground as they have lost, they have gained. In fact, they are 600 gold ahead, only behind in terms of tower kills as far as statistics go. Whoo! Okay, JDG. Hmm. Things are looking pretty dire here for TS. I really don't know what needs to happen for them to manage to win this game. First off, they need to actually one-shot a Squishy, and at this point, both Yagao and Loken are about as threatening as possible, and so far their positioning has been immaculate. So you need to kind of one-shot both of them and slowly whittle yourself away, work away at Zoom, kind of just chisel him down as much as possible. Karsa finds himself behind Zoom and the last outer tower of JDG's side. Not quite sure if they're going to be able to kill him, honestly, with just Karsa and Zuo. Even if Qingtian is in the area, it doesn't look to be the case. The only person really who's got a chance of dealing damage to him is Knight, who slides in over the wall now, trying to test his damage out onto him. But the Warden's Mail coming out from Zoom means that he's able to resist the damage quite well. But JDG, at the same time, are pushing down mid lane and top lane as well as to be a little bit of a trade in terms of objectives here. Baron is spawning in 45 seconds. There's really nothing for JDG to do in the center of the map over here. Rift Herald is going to continue to go down. This is a very nice play coming in from the top side of TES's lanes as recalls are coming in for JDG. And just like that, 2 towers for nothing. 3 towers for nothing, in fact. TES, this is exactly what they need. Showing some signs of life yet again. Unfortunately, they've been a bit slow to get, to start exhibiting some signs of life, but I guess there is hope for a game 3, ladies and gentlemen, as TES. Nice little play. Okay, Zoom, having completed his second item and having upgraded his own mythic item. That's not so great, but TES, they're doing their best. They're trying to claw back. They're trying to find a way out of no way. They're trying to charm themselves out of Tartarus at this point in time. Baron has spawned. Dragon is spawning in a minute and 15 seconds. This is going to be an Infernal Drake. This also helps TES if they manage to secure it. Unfortunately for them, however, JDG are in a very comfortable position to just dominate the lane and can put on like a boa constrictor grip onto objectives for sure. As Yagao just checking out the bush, not wanting to be caught out by any nasty surprises laid by TES. And as we've seen, they are not ones to shy away from death bushes. Knight always participating in those. So when you have no vision of Knight, you can be almost certain that there's a chance he will be waiting in the bush to try and one-shot you. Sorelda's third item coming in from Knight, not even looking to finish up his boots, realizing his team needs every ounce shred and every little bit of damage that you can get. As Love Mao looked to be a little bit out of position there. He is spotted out, but Zuo cannot engage over neutral terrain, unfortunately. As the fight for vision begins, looks like this dragon is going to be it. This could be the turning point of the entire game. JDG, this might be their win-lose moment, as it might be as well for TES, but the poke is coming in already. TES kind of need to force and engage, while JDG are very content just sitting back and throwing spell after spell into the void and darkness. Zuo already eating up another shock blast as Knight gets tagged up by piercing arrow as well. I think TES might just give this up. But unfortunately, it looks like they've given up inside track to Dragon. Dragon's being bursted down right now. Zuo stepping up, does have the Akatos flashes in, managing to hit out Love Mao, but the box comes in, separating out the fight. Zoom is in the front line, tanking out 4 people. Qingtian is in the back line of JDG. Unfortunately, he is not as tanky as Zoom flashes out. Qingtian does not have that luxury, still has flash available, does have teleport, but won't be alive for long enough. As Karsa's tagged out by the spear, Zuo forced to go in to try and save him out. As Kanavi throwing another spear, forced to flash from Jackie Love. As Karsa throws in the cocoon, trying his best to run away, gets tagged out by the slow Loken, forcing to flash away from the shock blast. He's trying to use the movement speed as best he can, but in comes another piercing arrow. Karsa needs to sidestep this, is not able to, and he's tagged up in the back. Loken and Yagao, with the continuous pressure from the pokes, they'll be able to ring out. Unfortunately, Karsa was not able to scurry away from that, and with that, a 3-4-0, as well as Dragon going in favor of JDG. At this point in time, things are looking pretty dire for TES. I'm not quite sure how they have any hope of coming back from this game at this point in time. JDG just muscle their way in, and then Zor forced to go in, jumps in onto Yagao, getting the depth charge onto Lovemar, and then here they just trade front lines, but Zor is just so much tankier, and there's so much more damage coming out from JDG at this point in time, and then the poke just comes in. Pretty much the rest of this fight is just a bunch of spells being thrown in. Zor realizing he needs to sacrifice himself for his team. Unfortunately, his sacrifice was kind of in vain, as Jackie Love still needed to flash. Karsa still blowing his as well, and still getting pierced in the back. No really avenue for a sidestep here, as in comes the piercing arrow, doing as its name states, right into the heart of Karsa and the TES fan base, as the gold lead is still only at 2k gold, but JDG just seems so much more in control of this game. Towers are the only statistic at which they are behind at this point in time, as Qingtian with a very nice flanked as a teleport is coming in from Zoom. Could he feel that his team is in dire straits? And they are, because Qingtian has been spotted out on a ward, but this signals to JDG it is time to go in, as Jackie Love is just pinned up by everything in the front line. Karsa's taken out, as is Zuo. Qingtian is the only one left alive with a golden. Zuo unfortunately is not going to last very long, as just a nice little kill coming in there. Tonight trying his best to do what he can, as he slides away from a shock blast. Unfortunately not able to pick up Lovemar as well. The Culling coming in, just tagging up Loken towards the tail end, making it a 1-for-4 trade. But every time a fight starts, at least 3 members of TES goes down, and right now it looks like the entirety of TS's base is in danger of falling. Lovemar stepping up. Knight needs to be careful, as a death sentence would most definitely do as its name states, and be the end not only of his life but of TES's hope in this series. As Knight dashing forward towards Zoom, really just tickling him at this point in time. And I think things are looking dire, to say the least. There's not much hope, I think, in the eyes of TES in the future, and fates that... Okay, let's see what happens here. Jackie Love is just hard engaged on, gets knocked up by the Ram, and then what else is he hit up by? The Chains of Corruption, the Spear, the Death Sentence, and then the Shock Blast to boot. And there's really not much. Zor, with all the spells that Jackie Love tanked, I'm surprised that Zor really had anything to die to. But at this point, a little... Zor's not tanky at all, doesn't have his Zonias yet, is just desperately working towards it as best as he can. Unfortunately, he's really still quite far away from it, doesn't even have a Fiendish Codex available to himself yet. About 1,200 gold away, if I'm not mistaken right now. 1,215 gold. As TES trying their best to do what they can. At this point, a base race might be the only trick left in their bag, but base racing against a Baron up team, unfortunately, does not bode well for the success of the strategy, as Karsa is forced to recall. The entirety of JDG is in this bot side. Baron does fall, but an upgrade looks to be coming in here from Zoom, who has upgraded both Kanavi as well as Yagao's items. And things are looking pretty dire. Flash hook coming in. It's actually, he tags out onto Loken. Loken sees it up, but he's not being taken down at all. Finally gets taken out by Karsa, but Karsa trying to use Zoom as an escape path, but goes straight into a knockup. Knight using the Culling to get out of the fight as best as he can. Nearly gets tagged up by the Spear. Another 1-for-4, as Loken yet again the one to be traded back for. Zoom taking no damage, needs to be careful. Knight does, because Kanavi can most definitely one-shot him at this point in time. Knight playing out of his mind in this game, as well as in game 1. Unfortunately, it is not enough to be the Superman, to be the Spider-Man, as he is taken down at the steps of the fountain. JDG with Knight falling, able to take out the base as well. An easy 2-for-0 coming out here from JDG, in full control of both game 1 and game 2, and TES not able to activate themselves early enough and just win this game out. A good attempt coming in here with a very big change in terms of draft. Unfortunately, in the end, it was not enough, as JDG win this series. Very nicely played. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.